Good evening all, and welcome back to In the Know, brought to you by the Racing Post. My name is Ross Brierley, and we've had a refresher post at Cheltenham. We've all had a very long lie down, maybe a look in the mirror at some of our selections and opinions in hindsight as well. But don't you worry, we've got stuck into Aintree with gay abandon. Look, the joy of Aintree is that it takes 6 weeks to build up to Cheltenham, if not 6 months. Aintree, suddenly, it's there, and we get excited about it. Maybe some of those prices are a bit juicier. Maybe some of those markets aren't quite as well baked. So we've got 3 days, of course, culminating in the Grand National on Saturday. And day one ain't too bad either. We're going to test a bit of Arkle form. We're going to see whether Rich Ritchie putting his lossy money where his lossy mouth is. That's what I was going to go for. There we go. Thank you, Robbie. We're also going to see if Grey Dawning's time has come and whether skipping Cheltenham was the right move for him. And we've got much more besides over the next few days as well. It is, as ever, live and interactive. The interaction was fantastic over Cheltenham. Not only the comments on the chat, but also some fantastic comments below the stream afterwards as well. Some lively debates and some genuinely lovely stuff. So it's great to be back. It's great to see, or at least see your names back. I dread to think what it would be like if I could see everyone who was watching in some sort of terrifying montage. But anyway, hello to everyone, to Dale Grimble, to Rory, to Trevor Clark, to Paul Stokes, to Harry, to Duck Goose, and to Charlie Kite as well. Someone's just done the money already. 1 to 6. I was wearing a check shirt. I'm afraid it's stripes. I'm terribly sorry. Does
that not count as hoops?
That's checked.
That's
hoops.
That's not a check.
Oh, actually, no. There's a subtle pink.
There's horizontal stripes and there's vertical.
That's 100% checked.
Horizontal stripes and vertical stripes is not necessarily check, is it? Check square, surely.
That is clear. That is actually. I know I didn't see it first. I was saying it's hooped, but you can see the pink in it.
I was hoping we'd go viral for our opinions, not one of those "is this dress gold or green" thing all over again.
There's huge debate in the chat.
There is, yeah. Everyone's gone mad. And Robert Ballard, yes, I have. Just escaped from Shawshank. But anyway, right, let's go, shall we?
Bring us in,
Wilders.
Ross. Bring us in, please.
How the devil are you? We've had 3.
Yeah, I'm all right, mate.
Short break between Cheltenham and Aintree. Are you refreshed?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, it's a bit of a lull in quality between then, and now we're very much back. We've got the new branding. I'm a big fan of this coloration.
Yeah, does that suit you?
I think so.
It suits you a bit better, I think.
I was going to say, I thought as part of the rebrand, I've rebranded my facial hair profile, gone for more of a goatee, as you can see.
Yeah.
So
you look slightly more artistic, I think.
Could I get much more artistic? I don't know.
It's a question we're always asking, Robbie. It's a question we're always asking. Aintree, for you, do you prefer it's Aintree rather than the grinding build-up to Cheltenham?
A little bit. It sort of sneaks up on you because we don't get asked about it for months in advance, and it's quite hard to, because myself and Keith in particular, we like an anti-post punt, and you often don't really get full entries until Monday, so it's quite hard. At least that's a good thing because you sort of come in a bit fresher, I think. Looking forward to it. Got some nice angles brewing under.
Good, I'm glad, because that's what you're here for.
I hope so, yeah. We'll see.
You lost faith there. You said you came in really strongly.
Well, I need to be a bit more modest, don't I? Like, don't say the angles are quality. Like, they might all go wrong.
Well, look, put it this way. You've done the work. You've got the angles.
The work has been put in.
The results are out of your hands to a large extent.
It's in the lap of the gods now.
It is, absolutely. Look, Countdown has Dictionary Corner. We have our own Dictionary Corner, but we put a K in it. And the K is Keith Melrose.
You get. How long have you had to think? You've had 3 weeks. That's not fair.
I quite enjoyed that. Now you're here to provide all sorts of stats and angles.
Yes.
And you've been digging deep.
I've been digging deep in my Chase Form annual from the National Hunt season 1955 to 1956.
Who won what was Aintree? Any Aintree surprises there?
That was Devon Lockshire actually, 56.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go,
I'm sure it was. Correct me in the comments. I'm sure somebody will. I've got Stratford on even here. Birmingham Racecourse earlier.
Yeah.
Windsor was still a dog track.
Yeah. Those were the days.
Those were the days. You wouldn't be decrabbing Windsor Form now, would you?
No, absolutely not. You're going to bring all sorts of bits and bobs in.
Yeah, so I've been trying to dig into, advertise some of the stats and angles we can produce. We're going to be talking about Smart View. We're going to be talking about we use Race IQ data now on a lot of our previews. Robbie's been using it a lot more recently and whatnot. So yeah, we're going to bring in a lot of that sort of stuff and see where it can take us. Because Aintree's great for angles, and because Cheltenham gets overanalyzed, there's barely anything that doesn't get discussed at Cheltenham. But as Robbie said, Aintree sneaks up on you. A lot more stuff tends to get missed, and we tend to centre on a couple of talking points. But there's a lot more to Aintree than that, because it's a lot of the same horses.
Yeah. It's always an interesting mix, isn't it? Because you do get. Like, tomorrow is sort of, the manifesto, for example. You're testing form lines you sort of half expecting to test. The 4-year-old hurdle, for example, is the try and form is barely visible this year. So sometimes you go, oh, I thought we were going to really test this Cheltenham race, and sometimes they don't turn up, and then sometimes it does go that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Lulambo's going Saturday, isn't he? He's running the top novices instead.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is different this year, but the differences between Aintree and Cheltenham still sort of stand up. In fact, the one we're going to talk about with this race is more pronounced, because the favourite for the anniversary hurdle came from the Fred Winter, which is in the old course at Cheltenham, not the new, like the Triumph. So it deepens the sort of angle we're looking at here. So, there's always something at Aintree that's different and surprising, and hopefully the angles can cover it all.
Hopefully they will. 3 men in the studio and one all-seeing, all-hearing, all-thinking brain at home where he belongs. Good evening, Mr. Tom Segal.
Hi, Ross. How are you doing, my friend? Long time no see.
It's been a whole. Do you know what? It's lovely to be here and be able to speak, Tom.
Well, it doesn't stop you in the past speaking, Ross.
No, but you don't remember the fact that the last 10 minutes of the last show, you had to do I physically couldn't speak. I mean, it was a long time ago.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I was referring to the fact that you got verbal diarrhea most of the time. No.
Yeah, fair enough. But admittedly,
yeah, you did have a bit of a problem. Are you feeling better, my friend?
I am. 3 days on the sofa bed, watching more films on a weekend than I had in the past 6 years. Sorted it right out.
Yeah, well, that's my life, watching films while I'm working.
Yeah.
I must have watched. What did I watch today? The Schindler's List for the 77th time.
Oh, right, okay.
I watched today.
Yeah.
That was really that got me in a good mood.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, really. Cheer yourself up there, Tom. I would have gone a long way down the betting before I'd put money on that being the film you watched today.
You're not meant to be working today, Tom.
Yeah, but have it on in the background.
Some of us are slaving away here, mate.
Yeah.
I wasn't watching Exeter or wherever. Where was the racing today? I didn't even know
Yeah,
where it was.
that was pretty dead, to be fair.
Yeah, fair enough. Anyway, Mr. Tom Segal, Aintree again. It's top class national hunt racing. A lot of the same horses, but you haven't been saying the same thing for 6 weeks, which is nice.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm not the greatest Aintree fan, if truth be told, but yes, it is quite nice not to have been. I think Robbie hit the nail on the head there. What I like is the fact that we don't have early closing races. I think they're the bane of horse racing in general. Myself, I think they mean that we all talk about these races for so long, but when you don't have them, we haven't. To be honest, we haven't got that many handicaps tomorrow. But throughout the week, of course, some of those handicaps we're not talking about them for hours, and we're not smashing the markets into places where you don't really want to have a bet on anything. You know what I mean? You're sort of forced into taking something that you might not fancy because the price is there, sort of thing. So that's the good side of Aintree. I like the fact that as you say, it's all a bit fresh and all a bit new. But I have to say the grade ones are not really my cup of tea at Aintree. I find it really hard to find any angles in them.
Okay.
If I'm honest.
Well, fair enough. Well, hopefully you win some money on the handicaps, Tom, and because you're ready. I mean, you can fill your boot full. You've got the top bit off behind you by the looks of things, ready to get all the cash from the bookies.
What have I done?
But isn't that the bit from the back of the shelf from the back of the boot in your car?
That is the back of my boot. Yeah, I took the doggy out for a walk earlier. Sorry, I forgot that. Hold on a minute, it's going.
No, it's fine. I assume you'd taken that out so you could put the readies in when you collect your winnings over the next few days. But all right, lovely stuff. Okay, we're going to be getting stuck into Aintree Day 1 then after this. All right, here we go then. Aintree day 1 starts off with the Manifesto Novices Chase. Impere Pass has been backed into 9-4 favourite. Django Bay is 5-2. Croke Park 4-1. Gidley Park is 9-2. Reward 12-1. The Kaluki Kid 22s. Boomborn 25s. Mark of Gold 50-1. Outsider of the bunch here at Aintree for the opener. And one of the most controversial winners in many a year from last year's Aintree Festival is Impere Pass. Skip Cheltenham comes here up against the shock Arkle winner in many ways. A shock for 99% of that race until he crossed the line in front. Django Bay. Croke Park's got some nice form as well, and Gordon Elliott will be hoping and praying he doesn't have to wait till the last race this week to bag a winner. And of course Gidley Park, who has some interesting form lines, and again, looks all over an Aintree horse, doesn't he? And then there's a jump out to 12-1 bar those. But as the Sultans of Ping once said, I like a manifesto, let's put it to the testo. I believe was the lyric. You know, where's me jumper? Of course you do. Look at you, you're wearing it. But Keith, let's start off with you, because you're going to bring a few extra stats and angles in.
Yes.
And we're going to start. Well, look. First things first. Aintree versus Cheltenham in terms of how it rides and what you're expecting in terms of, especially over fences, when you're watching a race, where do you want your horse to be?
Well, that's right. Most tracks you want to be sort of prominent. Aintree, I sat on one of our other shows, Good Morning Aintree, last year. Gordon Elliott was on the panel, and I sort of offered something that I supposed, and I've gleaned from watching hundreds and thousands of races, that Aintree's Mildmay fences might be the stiffest park fences in the country. And Elliott hummed and hawed and maybe poured a bit of cold water on it, but I thought, let's try and get some numbers on that. Now, we know about Race IQ, the RMG figures we're using now. There's length gain jumping, which most viewers will be familiar with. It's the idea of how much speed a horse loses in the time around a fence, and tries to quantify that into length, which is quite easy because lengths are technically a measure of time rather than a measure of distance. And there's also what they try and use out of that is something called jumping index, which is an attempt to score length gain jumping out of 10. You know, it's a little bit more subjective than the length gain jumping, but they're a really handy attempt to try and really quantify that.
So they're telling you several things. One, like I said, how inconvenient the horse was by its jumping in terms of how far it was beaten, but also, like I said, it can tell you how easy or hard the fences are to jump in theory. It
can, yes. Well, the measure they're trying to do here, it's still very small sample sizes with them, but the amount of times that the horse with the best pre-race jumping index wins a race should in theory tell you something about the stiffness of the fences at a course, or at least the jumping test it poses, because Aintree is, I'll tell you, I'm meant to be Susie Dent, but I'm Les Dennis here. We've got the top 5 jumping tracks in the country where the jumping index top rated wins the race. Now Aintree's top, 43% of the 40 races, 17 of the 40 races they've got on file was won by the horse with the best jumping index coming into it.
Well, we must say, it's first off, small sample size.
Yes, small sample sizes.
But secondly, what you're saying is that jumping is, it's very important, obviously,
it's so
in
hugely important.
But incredibly important here.
The tracks that tend to come out high, they're either got stiff fences. Newcastle's in the top 5, Ascot's in the top 5. They're big stiff fences. And the other two in the top 5 are Ludlow and Market Raisin, not known for being very stiff fences, but they're speed tracks.
Yes.
So it's a speed track.
I mean, Ludlow, if you're 5 lengths behind the leader anyway, you're in trouble. If you make a mistake,
and the fences there, they've changed it. They used to be very soft fences. They're not as soft as they were. Market Raisin's still got quite soft fences, but they go fast. And we find, so Aintree combines the two, actually. It's a track where they have a lot of speed, it's good horses running there, they go quite fast, and the fences are stiff. So Aintree, even disregarding the national fences, taking them completely out, the Mildmay course, stiffest jumping test in the country.
All right, lovely stuff. Let's hope that your selection, Robbie, then.
I picked out a good jumper here, boy.
Go on then.
I'll take it away, shall I?
Yeah, go for it.
I think I kept going around in circles in this. It's one of those races I looked at first of all and come down about 5 different horses. But then I just thought, Croke Park doesn't get the credit he really deserves. He's beaten some good horses in his chase career so far. I mean, he beat Hartwood, who is an established Grade 1 outside of novice company. He's been better days ahead. He was ahead of Impera Pass, who's half his price here. I don't really understand, at the DRF. We know Gordon Elliott doesn't really target that meeting. Gordon Elliott's modus operandi is sort of hit the ground running, sort of October, November, December, take a pause and then come back hard in the spring, I'd say.
Yep.
So the fact he ran so well there is quite encouraging to me. He's missed Cheltenham. He's missed the hard race that Django Bay would have had there. Just think a pair of pass. I don't know. I didn't really like his jumping particularly at Leopardstown. And if the stiff fences thing is true, which it obviously is, because this man's done the data.
He's done the numbers.
And I think it'd be a slight concern. Gidley Park's the interesting one because there is a very good horse in there, but he does have heart problems. I read somewhere online he was meant to go to Cheltenham and they had to draw stumps in February because of this heart issue that came up again. So that put me off him. And on his form of beating Caudle Park, it's worked out really well, but the time before he had his heart thing again at Kempton, so you don't really know where you stand with him. So I think I've come down on Croke Park because I think he's pretty solid. All right.
Croke Park is a 4-1 shot then. Obviously, Gordon Elliott's he did have a fairly torrid Cheltenham, Tom. I mean, there's quite a lot of interesting points in there, also counter points as well. I mean, for example, the jockey situation with the Elliott stable, of course, going to Cheltenham wasn't ideal. I wonder if that'll be different at Aintree. In Pere Pass, though, he didn't do particularly well last time out, but no disrespect to JJ Slevin, but Paul Townend back on board. Paul Townend is 7 wins and a second, and he seemed to jump a lot better with Paul Townend in the saddle, I think. So, plenty of angles you could take in here. What did you like?
Nothing.
Right, thanks ever so much.
Well, I just thought it was one of those entry races where I don't want to back anything because Pere Pass looks too short for me. Django Bay had a hard race. Croke Park, I get Robbie's angle at all, but he's 4-1. I mean, you get better 4-1 prices, bets than him every day of the week. Gidley Park has heart problems, a bit like me. Do I want to back him at 92 after missing Cheltenham because he's recurrence for a heart? No, I don't. So I just thought that it was one of those races where, you can make a solid case for the first 4, but they're all too short. I don't want to back any of them. I did have a good look at Rubo and Boomborn for that reason, but I thought Boomborn would get, Keith pointed out the fence. I don't like horses that get behind or are going to be held up. They can't make mistakes. We saw it so many times at Cheltenham. I think one of the best examples was Transmission, who everyone fancied, but you just can't make up the ground in good races and on good ground. So I was quite interested in Rubo running well at the prices, but he was getting £5 from Boomborn last time, and he only just struggled past him. I think the ground will suit him well, but I don't know. I think one of the top 4 will win, but I couldn't make head or tail which one it would be. So, I'm hoping Django Bay wins for the Arkle form, really. And also, you've got to remember, his 2 best hurdle runs did come at Aintree.
True.
He should have won that big handicap here last year, shouldn't he? I mean, he was one of the unluckiest losers you'll see all season, and he obviously won his Grade 1 here on ground that's probably a bit too soft for him. So I'm hoping Django Bay. He's basically a good jumper. He made one mistake, didn't he? But I was probably going too fast at Cheltenham, so I'd be on him. I think he's the solid one against horses that have, issues really. Gidley Park for sure. In Pere Pass, it looks like he's not the horse that we all thought he was going to be. So I think Django Bay might win, but I wouldn't back him. Not sure I'd back him at 5-2 after that hard race, as Robbie pointed out.
No, fair enough.
To Tom's point about, Boombon's been mentioned there, and Rubot, and Marco Gold as well is another very good jumper. I mean, they're the sort of horses that you can see sneaking into the 3.
Yeah.
They've been saved more for the spring. They are good jumpers and are not necessarily going to get behind in the way that, in Pere Pass might if he wears a couple.
You love a stat, Tom. Stat for you here. 25 horses have run in this, coming into it off the back of last time out wins.
Yeah.
3 placed, no winners.
Wow, that is a stat, isn't it?
That is a stat, which I thought was quite interesting, mainly because, again, a lot of horses will come here off the back of, like I said, a variety of form lines, and it is the type of race. It is like you said, it's a stiff jumping test. It's a bit of a speed track. Some of them will come from Cheltenham. Some will skip them completely.
So who does that leave us with, Ross? Impere, Pass, Croke Park, Boomborn, and Marker Gold.
No, Malka Gold won last time out, so Faisal Mo. But I think to give context to that, it's always interesting to see, horses who may have been beaten last time out unsuited by the track, skip Cheltenham or whatever, come back and go and wait for a more suitable thing. Whereas your Django Bays of this world, even though they looked lucky at Cheltenham last time out, trying to follow that up next time out is clearly difficult when you're up against a whole new bunch of novices.
Yeah, and Nicky Henderson was on, I don't know where I saw it. It was probably in between one of my films I was watching the other day, but he definitely came on the telly and said the one horse that looked like he'd had a really hard race at Cheltenham with Django by, and that he's the one that turns up and Lulamba's sort of going to the end of the week. So take that with a pinch of salt, I don't know, but that is the worry. That's always a worry. I'm not worried. I mean, we've had much shorter turnarounds than 3 weeks in the past. Rough Quest won his national after about 12 days between his Gold Cup and his Grand National. So the 3 weeks is plenty of time.
Yeah, and it's only his fourth one of the season. But anyway, okay, that's the opener at Aintree tomorrow. Then onto the 4-year-old hurdle up next. Like I said, we are testing the Fred Winter form really, rather than the Triumph form. Put Your Hands Together is 6-4, Naturally Nimble 6-1, Live Conti 6-1, Mercia 8-1, Wendrock 10s, Filibustering 11s, Mambo number 5 14-1, Willie Doyle is 16-1, and it is bigger the rest, including Gibbs Island, Aviemore, Give It To Me OJ, and look, I would say 2 debutants who are 100-1. With their first run on the over jumps coming off the flat.
Where are you going?
They've got no chance, have they, Tom? We should just back Terrorise and Coconut Grove, right, based on the Triumph. But going to come to you first, Tom, for this, because, like I said, it is a bit of a weird one, given that we would like to properly test that Triumph form, because it looked like an absolute cracker this year. But if they'd had the foot on the right pedal, Put Your Hands Together could well have been in the Triumph himself, right?
Yeah, absolutely. On what he did in the Fred Winter, for sure. They went very hard in the Fred Winter. Sort of picked up the pieces, Put Your Hands Together. But he was really impressive. I think he's clearly the form horse in this race by quite some way. Naturally Limble looks really short to me. I don't know whether, I don't know. Maybe there's been plenty of money. And like Liv Conti, exactly the same. They haven't got the form. I think the Fred Winter will be the key to the race. I did have a good look at Mercia and Wendrock. Wendrock was perhaps the more interesting of the two, considering how badly he got hampered 2 out, and then he flew home. So I could see him running a bit better, but I'm wondering whether he wants a bit softer conditions, really. I don't think it's going to be very fast tomorrow, because they will have thrown the water on. I mean, I don't think anyone who thinks it's going to be good ground for the National, I think are barking completely up the wrong tree. I think it'll be nearer soft than good. But I think, listen, it's hard to see past Put Your Hands Together. I think he was really impressive. I think this track will suit him even better. So he'd be my choice. Not very original, but I think Wendrock is perhaps the interesting one, considering how, Keith might have the stats in front of him. He jumped awfully in the Triumph Hurdle, but he jumped much better the time before, or the time before the time before. And maybe if he got his act together with his jumping, he might be the danger to Put Your Hands Together.
Okay, yeah. That's the thing. Put Your Hands Together. Robbie got such a lovely. He got a lovely toe through at Cheltenham. He travelled really strongly. He had 2 stone in hand, which
nice touch for yourself as well, mate.
Well, it was one of those touches where you think, I think this is a good price, and then it drifts in the betting, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But he beat quite a few of these, obviously. Your Merciers and your Wendrocks. I don't know, how much do you get bogged down sort of in weights and measures and bad runs through in terms of these the young horses in big handicaps,
exactly,
or are we just, is it just the class angle with the favourite?
Yeah, how much, like he's £13 worse off with Mercier, but how much is £13 when he's won that easily?
Yeah,
like he did. It's not often you see a handicap hurdle won that with that much in hand, is it? Like he did at Cheltenham. So he's obviously the one to beat it. I don't know. It's just quite a weird pedigree. It's by Caravaggio, who's a Commonwealth Cup winner, but that's obviously proved no deterrent to him winning a Boodles. Longer straight here, much longer straight Aintree. I don't know if they get racing a bit earlier. I thought Mambo number 5 potentially is like a long-term prospect. Looked pretty interesting. I'm not saying he won the Adonis. I'm not saying that was a great race by any means, but he looks one that will have a future. Whereas a lot of these is sort of the here and now. They've come from the flat, didn't do much on the flat, and.
But then, again, the only problem is you are backing them here and now, rather than
exactly,
the future.
We're not talking about the sort of RSA in 2 years, are we? So
yeah, exactly.
We're talking about here and now. I think Put Your Hands Together is the one to beat. I won't be betting the rest.
Yeah, it feels a bit like a favourite that no one really wants to take on.
It's hard to, really, isn't it? Because you don't often see races won in that manner, and certainly handicap hurdles where you think a lot of these have been sort of plotted out for it. So, yeah good horse.
All right. Will Aintree suit the favourite better, Keith?
Well, I gave Robbie that angle about the longer
thank you
straight
very
Aintree,
much.
so that he didn't know I was going to come on and speak about it, you see. No, the people used to often hear about, like, the Triumph is what you'd hear about it more, you know, that Aintree's a sharper track, the horse that travelled best in the Triumph, say, is going to come out and turn the tables at Aintree, but possibly right, but remember, the Aintree Straight is so much longer than the new course. Yes, at Cheltenham, the new course is 575 yards, Aintree Straight 775. Obviously, there's more climbing at Cheltenham, but there's still about 20 feet of climbing up the straight at Aintree. It's not flat.
Yeah. And obviously, given any track with a long straight, it is very easy for jockeys to get carried away and kick too soon.
Exactly. Well, I sat with Ruby Walsh as well on Good Morning Aintree last year and sort of put that theory tentatively a little bit, and he broadly agreed. He said, look, they can sometimes get racing far too soon. There's a long way to go at Aintree when you turn in. And, you know, in the last bend's only a 90-degree bend as well, so they swing off it a little bit and can really get racing too soon. The old course at Cheltenham's only got a 450 yards straight. You know, it's very short as straights go. So it's a horse by Caravaggio. The second favourite's by Too Darn Hot. Aintree's not necessarily going to suit them the way that you think it is relative to Cheltenham.
So actually, it might be, given the way that Wendrock was hampered, finished really well.
Yep. And Mercia is the same. You know, they're the two horses. They're more jumps bred. They have that more rolling sort of way of going about things. It might suit them more than you think. The Aintree course.
I mean, we will have the Triumph form tested a little bit. It's always interesting in a big race, Tom, to just see how the horses who were beaten out of sight do as well. Just to give, because if they run okay, you're suddenly like, oh, okay. Willie de Hool, of course, was comfortably beaten, and Gibbs Island, who was just, I mean, he won really, really well at Sedgefield and Haydock, but that, again, with a cruising speed, and at Cheltenham, I think it was shell shock for him a little bit. So it'd be interesting to see how those two go. Because, like I said, the Triumph was pretty brutal this year. So if they run in any way okay, then we start to get even more excited about it.
Well, you do. You love the Triumph, Ross. The rest of us have passed it over by now. We're looking forward to next year. But I tell you what I thought might run well in this is Give It To Me OJ. Because I liked him very much on his debut. He was third to your horse, East India Dock and Hot Fuss. I think that's really, really strong form. He then went to Haydock, got beat by Gibbs Island, but he'd had all sorts of problems. I know that for a fact because I did a thing with his owners at a preview night, and they were staggered how well he ran at Haydock. He then came out and won at Newbury afterwards, doing, easily in a bad race. But it's the type of horse that Gary Moore's had a few run in this race at a big price that have gone really well. He's not the most straightforward. He's a bit, he's a bit posh. He likes keeping his head in the air. You know what I mean? And I would be slightly worried that he'd really go through with it. But I think he's 40-1, and I could see him running a lot better than his price suggests.
All right, Give It To Me OJ then is a big price then for the 4-year-olds hurdle at Aintree tomorrow. Any opinions on the chat? Let's have a quick goosey gander. Big Shrug does that. Particularly strong opinions. What have we got? No one fancies anything in this. Fair enough. Okay. I think Aintree will suit Gibbs Island way more than Cheltenham did. Nothing else. No opinions whatsoever.
It's hard, isn't it, Ross? It's hard to find an angle in that race, really, isn't it? Did you find that?
Well, because I do really like the favourite as well. He was a good horse on the flat. Like I said, he ran really well with other things in mind. He what's his name? What was the horse? I mean, the one who won the Fred Winter and then went to Punchestown for Joseph O'Brien a couple of years ago.
Band of Outlaws?
Say that again.
Yes.
Band of Outlaws?
Band of Outlaws, that's the one. Yeah. He reminds me very much of him. And I think he'll take a hell of a lot of beating, especially as, if you'd even had one of the front 4, 5, 6 in the Triumph turn up, you might have thought, okay, one of these can give him a race. But either way, I kind of want him to win as well as he did at Cheltenham, because then the 4-year-olds look even better. Yeah,
absolutely. It's hard. As you say, there's very little from the Triumph in there, is there? And so it's really hard to, it would have been great to have one of the first 3 or 4 in.
Yeah.
So we could have had a clash between the Fred Winter and made our minds up. But at the moment, there's none there, is there?
Yeah. Although admittedly, if he dots up and then Lalamba gives the older horses a bit of a scare on Saturday as well, then again, the whole division looks pretty exciting. Next up at Aintree then, it's the Bowl, 3 miles and a furlong here for this Grade 1 chase. Spillane's Tower is 5-2 joint favourite with Grey Dawning. Ahoy Senor 6-1, Stage Star 13-2, Gaelic Warrior 15-2, Embassy Gardens 10s, The Real Whacker 20s, and JLo is 25-1 outsider of the bunch here. And again, 3 mile chase division made a hell of a lot more interesting by the Gold Cup winner, of course, parachuting himself in and beating Galopin de Champs. But we also have Grey Dawning, of course, who skipped at Cheltenham, Spillane's Tower, who skipped Cheltenham, and your Stage Stars, your Gaelic Warriors. Again, it's a very interesting bunch of 3 mile chasers. Maybe not the absolute pick of the bunch in this division, but it would be nice again to see one horse come out and make their mark. Now, Spillane's Tower barely puts a foot wrong, and Grey Dawning, I don't know, interesting joint favourites because I feel a bit Robbie. Spillane's Tower has kind of earned his reputation this year. Grey Dawning's reputation has taken a couple of knocks, but they're 5-2 joint favourites. Would that be fair?
So you think Spillane's Tower should be clear fav?
I would make him clear fav. I mean, he's rated slightly higher. He's a bit younger. His form seems a little bit better.
I've got a controversial one for you here, lads. I watched Grey Dawning's replays in the lead up to this. Is he a bit funny when the pressure comes?
It's possible.
I see a lot of hanging. I see as soon as the whip gets drawn, but I see a lot of hanging. I'm not certain he's a horse that, you saw how he travelled in the Betfair chase and ended up well second to Royal Pagaille. Yeah, I'm with you. I think Spillane's Tower has. Well, that was my first view on the race, how Spillane's Tower has earned it more. That he would have been third in the King George. He made a couple of mistakes down the back straight.
Well, and also, when you're watching replays of races, it's tempting to just watch the back half, but he was also on the back foot from the get-go a little bit as well.
When he gets himself when he's going for the second circuit, he's sort of quite prominent in the peloton.
Yep.
As he was trying to move forward, he hits a couple down the back, and he still finishes fourth unless he wears the last. So you could, and that was my first thought on the race really, that he would have been, up long press, all things being equal.
Yeah.
And that was sort of where I started on the two of them really.
Yeah, he has been quite well spotted because Grey Dawning was clear favourite. I don't know. I mean, again, part of me wants to see Grey Dawning come out and win this well again because you want more horses in any division to really stamp their class. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you can't read anything from Kelso last time out because one of his main rivals fell and the other one, has Saturday in mind rather than 3 weeks ago.
Exactly. Yeah, he's not for me. Might want a bit softer ground perhaps as well. I don't know. Spillane's Tower, very talented horse. He's probably yet to prove his stamina properly for 3 miles. The 3 mile he won last season as a novice wasn't a proper test from memory.
That's a fair point, yeah.
But he might have the class to do it, and he's still a young horse. I know he barely, in that John Durkan run, there was reported he barely been on the gallops at all before. So he's obviously a very talented horse. Just thought Embassy Gardens was a bit big because he's not cut it at the highest level yet. I did think it was interesting that Townend is on him rather than Gaelic Warrior because Gaelic Warrior is, one of the poster boys of that yard.
Yeah.
MC Gardens isn't as well known. I think the key to him is being fresh. They've trained him differently this season. They've kept him away from Cheltenham. He's run it badly at Cheltenham a few times. Just on the form of his easy win over Monty Star first time out, giving him £6, that's pretty good form. And then he's come out and run in the Irish Gold Cup after. He's not been beaten that far by horses by like Factor Fire and other, where you're thinking, and that's only a month on. He's been given 2 months off. Mullins does well at this meeting. I thought he was a bit overpriced, but you could make cases for quite a few of them.
There's, I guess he's got a little bit of a reputation of I'm not saying a flat track, but of beating up inferior horses on bad ground and then coming up short in these kind of races. Is that unfair?
It is. It's something you've got to factor in, certainly. But I've for a while I thought there's a bigger performance in this horse, and just the fact that I just think fresh is the time to catch him. A lot of the times he's underperformed has been sort of quickly turned out, and they've thought, we're not going to go to Cheltenham this year. Let's go to Aintree. He doesn't stay the Gold Cup trip. Slightly shorter bowl trip should be perfect. There is a grand query, but I'll take a risk at the price.
All right, okay. Keith, who's the Who are we worried about jumping wise here?
Well, Ahoy Senor's got that sort of.
I mean, yeah, obviously.
He's got the tension, doesn't he? Like Imperi Pass, who's obviously Aintree form's there for everyone to see, but the jumping really is the question mark. And Ahoy Senor's the same. He's got by miles the lowest jumping score on the SmartView stats. The SmartView stats are basically equivalent of if an insurance actuary was trying to insure a horse to what chance they have of falling. That's sort of how that works it out. Ahoy Senor gets 57. He's very, very low. Embassy Gardens is one of the top of the shop on 100. Another one, Stage Star, who we talked about Spillane's Tower and how his form would have tied him with long press if he'd not made those mistakes in the King George. Stage Star emerged as a better horse at the weights with long press 3 weeks later in the Cotswold Chase. A race that in theory suits long press a lot more.
Well, yeah, and we know that Stage Star, we know where he's going to be.
Well, exactly. He'll be out the front. He jumps well generally. Yeah. We know he now stays this far. Nichols has skipped Kempton with him and given his record at Cheltenham with him and given his record at Cheltenham, you'd be very slightly worried. But let's not pretend Nichols doesn't know what he's doing to win this race. He's the most successful trainer in the race's history.
And even in the years again, like where he's had lean years, come to Aintree and he will win these races with
There's
his
been
horses.
signs of recovery for him from the yard generally recently. I'm a big Nichols fan. It's been a really disappointing season in that regard, and I'm sure he'd admit that.
Man City. And exactly, like even the very best, one blip of a season does not a reputation.
You really
make.
hope so. I mean, Nichols is 62, so you're a bit more worried about him than like the football. I mean, you wonder when the title slips from him, what he's going to do with that. So I do worry in that regard. But if we see a good spring from Nichols, which I hope we do, then that'll hopefully rekindle him for a shot at Skelton next year.
62 for a racing trait? That's not still
He's been at it 30 years. I don't know. I don't know what the man. But remember when Pipe went. As soon as he knew the trainer's title had gone, he made a show of retiring. But he wouldn't have lasted, even if he wasn't going to make that petty point. He would have done it pretty soon afterwards anyway. Yeah. And I think once the trainer's title goes for Nichols, I can't see him hanging around for that long. But
yeah, maybe. But he clearly is. I mean, he's been very public about. We need to make some changes. He's not resting on his laurels, is he? If anything,
hope so, because I'm a big fan. He's he's the best trainer of a staying chase that has probably ever been. Yeah. I want to see him back, and I hope he can start here because Stage Star jumps out to me at these prices.
Yeah, and again, it's a fascinating race for many reasons, Tom, but mainly because you genuinely could make a case for all of these. I mean, last time we saw Jello on a sort of left-handed. Track like Aintree, bolted up at Newbury, even the real whacker, again, he doesn't get home at Cheltenham, but bolted up at Wetherby, and good case for Embassy Gardens made. God knows what Gaelic Warrior's going to do. It could go either way. What did you like, if anything?
Well, I thought it was going to be a ridiculous burn-up. So I think there's about 6 of those want to make the running, don't they? Always Senor, Stage Star, Embassy Gardens, the real whacker. Ray Dorling won't be too far behind. I thought they would go really hard, and it will be all about jumping. I think Stage Star's the best jumper. Whether he's going to get the race, clearly, I think he might be put under pressure much more than he was at Cheltenham last time. I think the track is probably all right for him, but I also think he's better at Cheltenham too. So I don't know. Robbie, I'm sorry. I don't fancy the two Willie Mullins horses one bit.
You don't have to apologise to Gaelic Warrior, mate. I don't rate him at all. But,
but Embassy Gardens, you do need to apologise. Yeah, Robbie's living
on that. Yeah, I'm fuming at
that. I don't fancy that. I don't think Embassy Gardens has any form that gives him any chance. Maybe he'll put it all together today. I think you're hanging your hat on Paul Town and riding him, but I think he's riding him because Gaelic Warrior is a busted flush. Clearly, he's a busted flush. He's not raised a gallop this season on either start. Listen, you take your life in your hands back in him. If you go on last year's form, obviously he's got a great chance, but surely he needs heavy ground, and he just looks. He looks. He's the biggest lummox of all lummoxes, Gaelic Warrior these days. Couldn't have him on my mind. Jello, I think he won't like the track. It'll be too quick for him round here. It was a nothing race at Newbury and he was still out in the car park. I don't think that'll suit him. The real whacker, I think, has a chance of running well. And Senor, while everyone decries him anywhere else, he's got a very, very good record at this track. He's hardly run a bad race at this track, and he's jumped well on nearly every occasion at this track too. So I'm not against him running well. And I think the right two are at the top of the market. So once again, I think the worry for me about Spillane's Tower is whether he'll jump well enough.
Yeah,
I'm just not convinced he's a brilliant jumper. I don't care what IQ says or what not. He doesn't make the right shape for me sometimes. And so I'd be slightly worried about him. I think he has the talent to be the best horse in time, for sure. Whether it's today or tomorrow, I'm not sure. I think Grey Dawning is just going to run really well. It's gone really well. I think he's had the perfect prep. I think he might win myself, Grey Dawning, but I wouldn't be backing him at 5-2. That's for sure.
No, okay. Grey Dawning 5-2 joint favourite with Spillane's Tower. I might be having trying to get a bit on an extra place with the Real Whacker each way. I think I do think again. Yeah, he ran really well in the Gold Cup. He just doesn't get home against stronger stayers in that race, which is perfectly understandable. So yeah, I thought he'd be suited by the way Aintree runs and rides. Okay, the Aintree Hurdle up next then. A Grade 1 here over 2.5 miles. Constitution Hill 10-11, Lossiemouth 13-8, Wadu 11-2, Take No Chances 50-1, Tell Her the Name 80-1, Break My Soul 150-1, and Salva Doesn't Turn Up. And again, Constitution Hill versus Lossiemouth, two horses who've had interesting seasons, I think it's fair to say. Constitution Hill, of course, beating Lossiemouth comfortably over Christmas, and then having a bit of a nightmare at Cheltenham. Lossiemouth coming down behind State Man, and then dotting up on the bridle to more boos than cheers almost at Cheltenham. But it's weird, isn't it, Tom? It's amazing how fickle racing fans are, because we all wanted to see Lossiemouth in the Champion Hurdle. Why isn't she going? We want to see her take on Constitution Hill. She's here taking on Constitution Hill. Everyone goes, oh, it's a boring race, it's Aintree Hurdle. Isn't it? Well, it's just only those two in the race. But it is going to be interesting, mainly because, well, I mean, Constitution Hill is just... I thought we get bored of talking about him, but every time now he throws us something new for us to debate.
There's a little curveball for you, Ross.
Yeah.
Every time. Yeah, I mean, look, I want to see him win. I love the horse. I think he's the best hurdler I've seen. I don't know. I mean, he obviously... It's just hard to know. I mean, who described it? Someone described it. There's just so many ifs around Constitution. If he's back to his best, if he jumps, if he stays the trip. You know what I mean? There's plenty of ifs about him. It's just not my type of bet at 10-11. I love to see him win. But I think Lossiemouth is a huge danger. Wadu looks very short to me at 5-1. She does. She was a bigger price. She's about the same price to win the Martin Pipe last time. Now she's got to beat horses that have won countless Grade 1s between them, having never run in a Grade 1 herself. Not to say she couldn't get there. You might get there, but when you're asking her to make the progression that people are asking, I'd prefer double that price myself.
Yeah, so I mean, it's interesting, given how far that she beat Joyers and Take No Chances versus how far Lossiemouth. I mean, I know, different races and all that, but I'd double Wadu's price personally.
Well, that's what I think. I love her. I think she's potentially really, really good, isn't she? Unbeaten for starters. And listen, we've seen Martin Pipes over the years, and I don't think I've seen one by Galopin de Champ that won as easy as she did, having raced quite prominently in a race where they always go way too hard. So she's a very, very good mare, but she's taking on two superstars here, and unless we get a ridiculous Golden Ace type scenario, I'd be hard to, I think she'd beat Golden Ace, put it like that would do, but I think she'll need the other two to fall over to win this. I mean, you paid your money to take your chance. I think, given it's 2.5 miles, given that she didn't fall last time she came out, I'd probably side with Lossiemouth at the prices, but I'd love to see Constitution Hill win, really.
Yeah,
it's the horses that don't turn up that's changing this race's shape, isn't it? Because Graham Rodway's been in my ear all day talking up Wudo as a horse to back against, and it's
really
there's two. These are two monsters that she's up against.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, absolutely.
I get it. An 8-runner race, she's a really handy each way bit to have. But in a 6-runner, it was a 7-runner race at the time. 6-runner race now, that appeal just isn't there. These are two extremely good horses.
I mean, it's funny because again, lining up to take on horses who just keep on winning, it's very easy to, it won't go her way this time, it's gone her way again. But this is such a monstrous step up. I mean, it would be some performance. It would really... Gordon Elliott would be thinking, he'd forget what happened at Cheltenham, I think, if Wadu came and pipped these two, Robbie. But
yeah,
bloody hell, it's a big ask.
I sort of independently came to the conclusion, like Rodders, that Wadu had a bit of a chance there. I get what you're saying. We're
all saying that she's a massively short price, and you're about to say that she's got a squeak.
Please do. I took a bit of 8-1. I thought that was fair enough because We don't know how good she is. She's won every hurdle race. She won the Martin Pipe easily. Really good performance in that. That's often a race that goes to a sort of like stay and chase in the future. She's like a lot of very good horses, and there'll be countless good horses come out of that race. She's won it easily. Massive step up in class, of course, but she's going up against two horses that have had bad falls on their last two starts. Don't think Constitution Hill was impressive at all, really, in this race 2 years ago. I think you prefer him over 2 miles. Not to say he doesn't stay this trip. Of course, he won that race, but he's off the back of a fall.
It's a course thing as well. Like at the old course at Cheltenham, it's very easy to know when to go with Constitution Hill. You do it on that turn as they're coming in. You press go there because you know you've got 2 furlongs to go. Nice and easy marker. Off we go and we win the race. That point doesn't exist on the long straight at Aintree. It is one long run with 3 hurdles on it all the way to the line. That's part of the reason he's not so impressive at this track. There's no
you can't be that impressive.
Yeah, he doesn't win by he stays 2.5 perfectly well. We talked about him potentially as a Gold Cup horse at one point. He's running point to point. You know, he's not pure speed, but I think that's part of the reason he's not so impressive is because of the way Aintree. You know, it's very easy to know where to go in the old course at Cheltenham. Not so much here.
Yeah, fair. I mean, it's funny because obviously, he wasn't particularly impressive at Kempton, wasn't particularly impressive at Cheltenham. Fell last time out. I mean, Lossiemouth. My argument, everyone said, you know, she should have gone for the champion. I think they made 100% the right call. Not only because she won, but also because the reason they didn't go to the champion is because Paul Townend and Willie Mullins said she won't beat State Man. And if State Man had stood up, he would have absolutely bolted up with the champion hurdle. If State Man stands up, everyone goes, Rich Ritchie made the right call. She would have never beat him. And he falls, and everyone goes, she should have gone for the champion hurdle.
It's fun to stick the boot in when somebody's been too cautious, though, isn't it?
fair. But you know, she's here now. So you back one.
I've had a bit. It's not.
It's not.
Because I like to get these short. It's because I like to get these shorties. You can't talk about it now. I mean, the bet's on. It's never nice when people say people you sat with say, yeah, I wouldn't be taking that. Double the odds. But I'm going to stick to my guns. We don't know how good she is. Whereas these two, are they going to be getting any better? I'm not sure. Yeah. Wadu, I don't think we've seen her best. Her best is going to be needed and some, and possibly a full. But I'll take a bit of that price. And if it loses, you know, move on to the next one.
Just very quickly, because we've got 3 more races after this. But just very quick, how far below Constitution Hill's best has he been?
Well, he's been £15 and more below his best this year. You know, the Christmas hurdle at Kempton, that was a 162 Racing Post rating. 177's his peak. He's an all-timer. You know, he beat State Man 9 lengths walking up the hill that, you know, he sauntered up the hill that day. He recorded 177 to win his champion hurdle. He ran 150 to win at Cheltenham in January, and obviously he fell last time. That was, again, a course thing. That was just at the point you start running downhill. He doesn't have downhill fences, downhill hurdles. Their danger's higher there. We know that. That's where horses get ahead of themselves and make mistakes. There isn't a hurdle like that at Aintree.
Yeah, fair. So this is a very old statement, but this is his. He's going to prove that whether he's Wayne Rooney or not in this. Basically, whether he was an all-timer very young. And I
think he was an all-timer very, because there's no chance he's got £10 to come from what he was, even when he won the Supreme. That's arguably the better performance.
Oh, that's one of the best performances we've ever seen.
David Jennings talks about the type. He was a great the minute he went away 20 odd lengths from John Bon.
The thing everyone again, it's a bias towards horses going like that and gradually peaking rather than being incredible.
People rate mantelpieces more than they rate actual form, and Constitution Hill's form better than any 2 mile hurdler, any hurdler I've ever seen in my life.
Right, 3 more to go then at Aintree. We are over the national fences for the first time with the Hunter Chase. Will it go ahead? 4-1. Lifetime Ambition 9-2. My Drogo 11-2. Famous Claremont 11-2. Milan 4 12s. Joker de Mai 12s. Benny's King 14s. Anna Mix is 18-1, and it's bigger prices the rest. I'll be given that there's currently no sponsor for this show, we can say that you could just sit on an exchange and wait to see which 2 horses jump out in front and get into a rhythm, Tom, which is often what happens in these races over these fences. But Hunter Chase is just the type of thing you like to get stuck into. Surely there's one that stood out for you. Surely.
Yeah, love them. But four races that I don't want to have a bet in, and a Hunter Chase comes along, Ross. Yeah, I love Aintree. Can't wait.
All right, here we go. Come on then. What do you got?
Look, in all these races, I think in all these Hunter Chases, you just want first thing I do is look at the age of the horse. Simple as. I want a young improver. They're up against loads of horses that they're hunter chasing because they can't cut it anymore. That's why they're hunter chasing. So I want a horse that hasn't done his running yet, that's got more to come. So immediately I looked at the young horses. Will It Go Ahead, Milan Fourth, Joker de Mai were my three. I would tick off straight away. Milan Fourth, I think, is quite interesting. He's had quite a few runs in hunter chase, so and not won many. So I just thought, I don't know what price he is now, 12 to 1 on the screen there. Joker de Mai might run well. Professional trainer, David Maxwell's got more experience than most of these. Won very easily at Leicester last time. That was 2 miles. People saying he might not get the trip. He was pretty good when he won a race at, can't remember where it was now, but he won it by staying Lingfield, and he beat some good horses that day over hurdles. He's just a young up-and-coming horse that would have been trained for the race. David Maxwell's got $1 million that he could have run in this. Joker de Mai is the one for Harry Derham. I've been watching him on Harry's TikTok. I don't have TikTok, but it's been on my computer. Harry's TikTok, and he's been showing Joker de Mai's preparation for this race. He's been counting down the days. He said it's been his plan all season long. So I just thought he might run well. Will It Go Ahead's probably the horse with the form. Well, Life Animation's the horse with the form, but the back form. But I don't like those horses. So Will It Go Ahead ran very well in the Cheltenham race, didn't he? And jumps well. Back in trip shouldn't be a problem. So he's the right favourite. But I thought the 2 6-year-olds, Milan Fourth and Joker de Mai, would do for me. That's the way I look at these races.
Okay, thank you, Tom. What a vision. Schindler's List on that screen, TikTok on that screen, form on that screen. What a man. What about you, Robbie?
Yeah, I like Tom's analysis. I look for younger horses in this because a lot of these they're only in this division because, as Tom rightly points out, they're past it in the main game. But when top connections send a young horse into this division, it often works out well. We had It's on the Line, been cleaning up in these races for JP and Emmett, only 7 years old. He's not in this one. I did look at Joker de Mai because, again, like Tom, I thought David Maxwell, he has so many horses he could have run in this. This horse is only 6, improving. Wasn't sure if he'd definitely stay, so I thought, Will It Go Ahead? Looks the likeliest winner. Excellent jumper. Beat 20 runners in the Cheltenham one. That was a good effort. This is probably, I couldn't say if this is a better race or not particularly, but
I'll tell you after the race.
Yeah, we'll have a chat then, won't we? But he's just got that profile of brought in by top connections, probably shouldn't be running this sort of race. Got a high enough rate, got the rating to win it already. So, probably a fair wager.
Okay. Bearing in mind what you said earlier on, Frere Darm made 2 shuddering errors back in trip at Ludlow last time out and couldn't get on terms with the others. But he's 8 years old, unexposed at the trip.
He's only 8.
He's only 8.
He seems to have been around for yonks.
Was because he'd been running over. He was running over fences. How old was he when he?
He'd been 5 at the time, surely.
He was. Exactly. Yeah, he was 5. Yeah. So he's. I think he's a little bit. He's a very big price. About 50 to 1, I think, Frere Darm. So
it's a race where you can get like big price. It's a race. It's the worst race that gets run over the national fences. It's fair to say. Average Racing Post rating of the winner in the last 10 years is 139. And I made lots of tiny amounts of money backing percussion each way in those handicap chases, those big handicap chases over these fences. 3 of the best 4 runs of his life and 4 of the best 6 runs of his life on Racing Post ratings have been over the national fences. Yeah. The exception was actually last summer at Uttoxeter, the best run that's not over these fences. So he's not as regressive as some of these. He's just turned 10.
Yeah. And this is the worst race he'll have run in for a long time.
Oh, exactly. I remember saying when I backed him in Grand Sefton and stuff, God, poor thing's never going to find a race over the national fences that's poor enough for him to win. Well, if there's one, it's this.
Yeah.
And it looks like he's been aimed at the race. He's ridden by his joint owner now, Daniel Cherryman. I watched him riding the horse at Southall. He's an experienced rider. He's a real hunt rider, and he could stay on. So I just thought he was, how many times do we see national form over the same course and distance, repeating and repeating and repeating? Yeah. And it's not a race I tend to get excited about, but it's the weakest race over the national fences. It's probably the race percussion should have been in all his life.
And you will get excited if Percussion goes and wins at double figure odds. So fair enough. You should have told me you fancied him. I'd have given you a drum roll to build up to it.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, moving on then. 2 more races to go. Day 1 of Aintree. The Red Run Handicap Chase is just shy of 2 miles. My Mate Mozzie is 5-1. Primos 5-1. Sombrie is 6-1. The Folks Tiara 13-2. Petit Tonnerre 15-2. General Madrano 9-1. Rathgall Hill 10-1. Calico 11-1. And bigger the rest, 14 of them then for this Handicap Chase. Robbie Wilders and all eyes not on the 14 horses, but on a man with a flag on a stepladder. Because after Cheltenham...
Oh yeah, we can't have that again, can we?
We can't have
got
that.
Annoying.
We've got
frustrating, didn't it?
It did get frustrating, in particular, obviously, in the Grand Annual. That was one of them. Primos, incredibly well backed, lining up, buzzed to jump off in front, and it all went wrong. So he's a really interesting horse, I think. Joint favourite in My Mate Mozzie. Completely different types. What did you like?
The sort of secrets out of the cage a little bit with Primos. Now he's 5-1. Like
it was a mad gamble.
He opened up at like 20s for that.
Yeah,
he got absolutely smashed.
He was really promising in the autumn. He went completely missing in midwinter, and then he won a match at Kelso, which you couldn't really put much stock in.
Yes, but
then,
if I said to you, what horses are you? I guess being promising in the autumn, going missing in the winter, and then coming good in the spring is a good thing if you're backing him in these races.
Oh, absolutely. This is I mean, look back on the Red Rum's history. It's a real race for spring horses. You know, it's not. It is a a lot of these horses that want better ground, and the 2 mile chasers.
Parsnip Pete's the first name that comes to
well,
mind.
I noticed he was the name that eventually made me go, yeah, that's definitely the case.
Yeah.
Is this the case? Is this the case? Oh, Parsnip Pete's won it.
Yeah.
It's definitely the case. It's that sort of race, and I think there is a little bit of punters trying to get their money back and making him the price they have.
Partly, but in theory, if he does jump up in front, this should. I know there is in theory a burn up on a lot of pace, but again,
he's never turned. For every burn up that was predicted, only a third of them actually come to pass.
Well, and then what happens with a burn up is two of the front runners aren't quite quick enough to go off with the 2 go too fast, and it's still a front runner who wins. It's just they couldn't get to the front.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, he's a 5-1 joint favourite. My Mate Mozzie. What did
Yes.
what did you like of this?
I'm not going to speak for these gentlemen, but I almost got involved in Rathgall Hill anti-post, but I didn't want to because Matata was in this, and if Matata would have run, he'd have been like £12 wrong. He's only £3 wrong, but this is a well handicapped horse, I think. Just watching back his last few races, he just wins them. He doesn't win them by far, but he wins them with quite a bit in hand. He's a very strong traveller. We don't know how good he is. He's only 7. He's had a light campaign. The bet never on his return. He's £3 wrong. I'm not expecting that to be too much of an issue. Just like horses that are coming here fresh that are improving. There's a lot of horses we've seen a lot over the years.
Talked about another spring horse. He's been sent for the spring, Rathgall Hill, isn't he? He won at Newbury in March and at the Scottish National meeting last year, and he's come back for the spring this year. We bullied Rodders, didn't we, into putting him up on
we did. Rodders said Rathgall Hill wasn't in his top 6, but he just couldn't have it at all. But we like him.
He changed his mind. Okay, Rathgall Hill in a 10-1 shot for Sam Drinkwater and Sam Twiston Davies. Tom Segal again. Grade 1's not betting heats. 2 mile handicap chases for you?
Yeah, like this race. Thought it was pretty weak though compared to some we've seen, some former Red Rums in the past. Sam Wee, for example, I think he races off the same mark as he did last year, but he has shown nothing this season. He's a bit of a Gaelic warrior, isn't he? I don't know what's happened to him, because I thought at the start of the season, Paul Nicholls was making claims that he's improved more than any horse in the yard, and we're going to, he could go very at the top. And now he's back in the race, same race he won last year by miles off the same mark. Don't know what to expect from him. If he's back in the form that he showed when winning it last year, he'd have a massive chance. Primos is just a bit nutty, isn't he? I'm not sure how... I obviously punters thought he was well handicapped last time, but I wonder if there was a bit of the Mayertown factor on the back of that. Do you know what I mean? They were all thinking, it's an Cinder Russell horse down the bottom of the weights. Let's all get stuck into him again after that one. And I don't know. I've always thought he looked better than he actually was. Do you know what I mean? He comes there cantering and then just doesn't quite do it. Not convinced, but I get he's got plenty of upside, so he could easily win. The Folks Tiara, it's just a bit of a messy race last time. I thought he was quite good when he beat Ampeg Dar the time before, and then they all sort of finished on top of each other. What you could see, of what you could see. There was about a length between 6 of them. So he was off the list. I do think my mate Mozzie has a good chance here. I really do. I know people don't like him. He doesn't win enough, this is his best chance by a country mile. He was third at Royal Ascot in the Copper Horse over a mile and 6 on the flat. He's got a ton of pace. Third in a Galway Hurdle. He's run loads. This is not the type of race he normally runs in. I thought he ran a very good race in the Grand Annual, given the position he was in. That was only his second run this season. There is potential for him to improve on the back of that as well. So I think if one horse, I think he's a class above. But whether he actually gets the job done, I don't know. And I've got to mention Petit Tonnerre, because if you go back to his form at the track when he was second to Imperial Saint, is it? Whatever. Richard Johnson owns the horse. Philip Hobbs trains. Philip Hobbs and Johnson White. That horse is rated a lot higher now, and he's well handicapped on that. So there was quite a few I could rule out. I ended up on my mate Mozzie and Rathgall Hill, the one Robbie talked about, but I do think Petit Tonnerre is in there with a chance, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if Primoz won or Sam Brew bounced back.
Okay. Yeah. In fact, to be fair, I did think that Calico had a little bit of a chance if you fancy Petit Tonnerre. Mm-hmm. He's quite well handicapped on his best, and he's last time he ran at Aintree he was running well behind John Bon.
Dan Skelton's been entering, he's got 4 or 5 2-mile chasers that are interested and look like they've been laid out, and he's been entering them all for the Grand Annual, and he entered them all for this, but he's only run 1 or 2 each time. Yep. He ran an unexpected party in the Grand Annual, obviously defending champion, finished second, and he's chosen Calico out of all of them here. He's shaped well behind Petit Tonnerre at Donny. He is interesting.
He's got that nice combo of races prominently but found plenty as well. So I think I'd be surprised if he was, he's going in the play spot. Put it that way. Is he? It is. That is the last race, isn't it? I was just thinking, unless it's race 7 off the top of my head. Okay, just quickly then, Tom, you're going for Rathgall Hill and my mate Mozzie.
Yeah, I think my mate Mozzie might outclass them myself.
Okay, Robbie, you're Rathgall
Hill.
Keith?
Yeah, Rathgall Hill's the one I've backed, but yeah.
All right, and I'll go for Calico to sneak into the frame then. And the last race on day 1 of the Grand National meeting is the Mayor's Bumper. Won last year in impressive fashion by Diva Luna. We'll see on Friday. Xia Lin is 11-4 favourite for this. Charisma Cat 5-1. Jackie Hobbs 7-1. Blue Betty Amber Lamb 9-1. Strong Run 9-1. Kingston Queen 14-1. Betty's Daisy 14-1. Capability 16-1. And bigger prices the rest, including Get a Whiskey, which some putters might well do instead of getting involved in this race. We were talking about the talents of Gavin Cromwell of winning a variety of races. Similar comments apply to Paddy Toomey, I think. Tommy doesn't miss with many, does he? And it's a fascinating favourite. Fascinating favourite.
Yeah, absolutely. She was really good, wasn't she, at Cheltenham? Form's worked out well. Can see why she's fav. No problems with her at all. We obviously kept back for this. Didn't go to Cheltenham. Mare won the Cheltenham Bumper. I think that she's the right fav for me on form. I do like Jackie Hobbs though. I thought she was really impressive at Ascot last time for the Noel Feely Racing Syndicate and Harry Derham. Hoping Harry has a pretty good day. His horses are running really well at the moment, and I was impressed with Jackie Hobbs at Ascot. She'd be my marginal selection over Xiao Lin.
Okay, Jackie Hobbs then is a 7-1 shot. Robbie Wilder's Mayor's Bumper, is that your kettle of fish?
Not massively, but my kettle of fish is very much Paddy Toomey. He's a bit like sort of Cromwell, where he sort of come from nowhere to become very much an elite flat trainer. Yeah. And you got to respect what he runs in this discipline as well. He just doesn't waste an entry, does he? No, he's just prolific.
Yeah, he's got Irish 5 seasons. He's got 28% strike rate. It just feels like every horse, they're not thinking, we'll go there because why not? It seems meticulously planned. Yeah,
it's just a very slick operation, very impressive. And the fact that they're running here, she's got the form in the book. She's beat the Grade 2 Newbury winner, Segal, quite readily. Looks like she's been laid out for it and big chance, but it's not one I'm really looking to get stuck into because there's a lot of unknowns.
Yeah, okay. Rob Dixon's having a Betty forecast, reverse forecast for the laugh.
Yeah, my interest in this extends nothing beyond the names as well. I was trying to guess Jackie Hobbs' sire. I was there for ages.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? And I'm sure when Jack Hobbs bolted up in that maiden at Wolverhampton, I said I'm going to I can't wait to back his offspring in graded bumpers.
But he won that handicap at Sandown by about 12 lengths. Remember?
Those, I mean, again, this is the joy of horse racing. You never quite know where the tendrils are going to reach. Just a quick word on Charisma Cat, who she should be unbeaten, really, shouldn't she? She should have won a market race, and she came from God knows where. I feel like she's got a big chance if Tom Cannon kicks her on. But even at Sandown last time out, she doesn't have a gear change. She looks a really good horse. I think she's possibly at least the second best horse in this race. But I want to see my jockey be positive in a race like this.
Yeah, no massive opinion on Charisma Cat. Yeah, probably should be unbeaten. Is that your selection, is it, Ross?
Yeah. And your nickname down the gym?
Oh, I'll take that. Yeah, I'm a big fan of cats anyway. Shout out to Oscar and Emmy if you're listening, if you're watching.
Yeah, and if you are, tell us how you've managed to log on. I mean, unbelievable stuff.
Oscar can barely walk at the moment, so I've been impressed.
Yeah, but has he got a
not
YouTube
well.
account?
He's not well, mate.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Got a
mate.
very bad leg. Yeah.
Oh, well,
Lowering the tone.
Lame as a cat.
that's fine. He's got. It's all right. He'll be all right. He's got.
Stay strong, Oscar. We're all rooting for you, my friend.
Absolutely. He's got. But it's fine because he's
My
got.
pal here absolutely hates cats.
Oh,
Yeah,
what?
I'm going to say, there's going to be a real matchup
Oh
here.
no.
There is. She'd have any cat going.
Yeah.
Oscar, don't go anywhere near Minnie.
Understood. I'll pass that message on.
Yeah, that's fair. Do not. But it's all right because you're never going to come into the studio.
I was going to say, I don't think Oscar's ever been out of Maidstone, so I doubt he'll be in Reading anytime soon.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, lovely stuff. Okay, so the Mayor's Bumper closes off at day one of Aintree then. Okay, we will be back tomorrow night and Friday night, of course, to preview more Aintree fun and games. If you haven't done so already, make sure you like the stream, subscribe, and get involved in the comments as well with any thoughts or fancies for the rest of the week. But before we go, best bets on a slightly tough day one at Aintree, an interesting one, but in terms of, I really want to get stuck into that one. Might be a little bit difficult, although the panel might well prove me wrong in a second. Starting off with you.
Oh, thanks for letting me go first, Ross.
You're welcome, mate.
I want Rafcal Hill and the Red Rum for 40 Aintree.
Before anyone else puts him up as that. Yeah.
Certainly the man to my left.
All right.
Sure.
Keith.
Yeah, I've almost talked myself out of him a little bit because that's a really
Because Robbie
competitive
fancies
race.
him so much.
Well, no, the one Stage Star's in a less competitive race, I think, certainly relative to his ability. So I'll probably go for Stage Star in the bowl.
All right, lovely stuff. Tom?
Jackie Hobbs in the bumper. I like bumpers.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, that's... crack on.
Mr. Ross Brierley, please.
I mean, I really struggled tomorrow. I mean, I think Put Your Hands Together is the most comfortable winner. I thought Impere Pass would win the opener, but the price has gone. I just think he jumps better with
no
Paul Townley.
value in that whatsoever.
Well, he's not any value, is he?
Opinions, though, isn't it?
That's
I
the
mean,
problem.
Waddo can't win, Embassy Gardens can't win, and they're my selections.
All right, let's go Calico each way nap then. How's that?
Well, I did pick the Red
Way
Rum.
nap.
Look, no, we can.
Don't like
All
each
right,
way nap.
all right.
Ross. Don't like each way nap.
That's fine. Look,
Forecast, Calico and Rafcal Hill.
Look, all right, you're fine. Right, you're right, absolutely. So that's dodging it each way nap. Let's go place only nap.
No, I quite like place only naps because then you can't give it the big licks if they win.
Absolutely, you just take your winnings and you shirk yourself quietly into the shadows with a few extra cash in your pocket or in the boot of your car. In the way of Tom Segal. Okay, thanks, gentlemen. We will see you tomorrow night. Thanks to everyone for watching. Did we get any more naps? Sports Trader going out for Impere Pass, and that's it. Lovely stuff. See you tomorrow night. Goodbye.